Hey guys, MC Stu here, and today we're going to look at another ground build. This is going to be a little bit more advanced than the 101 ground build that we did on my tactical character. Today we're going to be taking a look at science, ground widgistry. Widgistry? I don't think that's a word. Maybe it's a word, I just can't say it right. In any case, before we jump into it, I again want to thank everybody for supporting the channel, subscribing, giving the thumbs up, and commenting. We have an awesome community here, and as always, I just want to make sure I am constantly reiterating that I appreciate every single one of you. I'm going to continue to highlight other SDO content creators. This week, we're going to take a look at Stu1701. He is a YouTuber and a Twitch live streamer. He has some excellent build videos on YouTube. I'll be putting links down in the description for you guys. Definitely go check out his YouTube channel and his Twitch channel. Give him a follow, sub, thumbs up. Great guy with excellent info to share with you. Some great builds that he has, and very entertaining when he does the live stream. Although I think it's been a little while, so we all need to push him to get back on it because they're great. So definitely do me a solid and go check him out. You will not be disappointed. All right, let's take a look at our build here. So this is my science character. She is a Romulan alien, fed aligned, and the science builds are, I used to think they were complicated. They're not really. It's really about building kit performance, kit readiness, and I'm finding that's really kind of true with any kind of high DPS build that you're doing, regardless of if it's a psi-based build or a tactical-based build. Maximizing your kit modules and your kit itself and those kinds of things, you're going to get much more out of that these days than you are from the primary weapons. So on this particular character at the moment, I am running a weapon that doesn't really do a lot, but it's pretty cool. It shoots lightning out of a hand glove, essentially, and looks really cool, but that really doesn't have much to do with the overall build itself, where we're trying to maximize all of our kit modules and the performance of those. So let's go ahead and take a look at this build, and we'll go through it here. All right, so let's start with our kit module. We'll start there since everything's kind of built around that. So this is just a crafted science kit frame, and what we're looking for here is to maximize the amount of the KCD and the KP, which is your kit performance and your kit readiness. So your kit performance is going to boost the effects of all of your kit modules. Your kit readiness is going to reduce the cooldowns for those abilities so you can keep them up as much as possible. So those are the main things that you're looking for when you're either crafting or buying one of these off the exchange, is you want to maximize the amount of modifiers that it has that are going to affect your kit. Secondarily, I probably would be looking for more of a I don't know, probably hit points or resistance rating, something like that. This particular one has personal shield hardness, which isn't too bad. Regens aren't generally going to be real helpful because you have to retreat and stop taking damage before that's going to have any kind of effect. So endurance, shield hardness, but I think endurance or just overall resistance would probably be the best for your secondary mod that you're looking for, but somewhat inconsequential. I mean, if you get a kit that ends up looking like this and it has shield regen on it, who cares? The main priority is boosting our kit performance and kit readiness. So let's take a look at the modules that we're using. So the first one in the first slot here is going to be the timeline entanglement field. This comes from the Temporal Rep. And what this does is it creates a level 75. And I don't understand about these levels. Is that just an arbitrary number that these guys, put on these? Because you see it, I see it all over the game, level whatever mines or level. I mean, does that really, what does that even mean? If you know, put it in the comments. Let me know what's up with that. But it creates a level 75 anti-time entanglement field for 12 seconds. And what it does is it's going to do 130 physical damage with 50% shield penetration each second. So for 12 seconds, and you'll get the maximum of that if your enemies, or the majority of your enemies, because it is an area of effect, but whoever you have targeted on, it's going to affect them the most, because this starts at 12 meters and it starts to collapse. So if you put this on, say, an enemy, and there's, a group of them, people near the outside of that, say at 10 meters, they're only going to feel that effect for a few seconds before that bubble, it creates like this large bubble, which you'll see here when we go and demonstrate some of this, that collapses. So if you can bulk enemies up together and then use this, which is what we do on this particular build, you're going to get the most effect out of it across the most amount of enemies. This also does, so it does the radiation damage. So the rest of this stuff that this does is, so it's going to reduce run speed by 60%. That's going to be important for some of the traits that we're using. The rest of this underneath it is has to do with duty officers, and we'll get to that once we get to the duty officer section. I'm almost feeling like the way we do these videos, especially for ground, maybe we should start with duty officers, because we're going to see their stats showing up on a ton of our effects. We keep referring to them as I go through it, but we don't really get to see that part till the end. But maybe on the next one I'll do it that way. All right. Next we have the Hypersonic Radiation. This is crafted, and you can buy it from the exchange. And what this is going to do is target is surrounded by radiation cloud, and so it's an area of effect dot that it puts on the enemy that's going to deal 214.5 radiation damage per second to the target. It will also damage all enemies within 5 meters of the target. And again, all the things underneath this, the exploit and the cooldowns, this, we'll get to that when we get to the duty officers, but I guess I could touch on it a little bit. There's, some repeating things here with the negative 40% damage resistance. That's from a trait, and you'll see the 20% chance to reduce the cooldown for the induction field and for the hypersonic radiation. Those are from duty officers that I have. So they're cooling this ability down, or there's a chance of cooling it down with the whole overall build kit readiness. This can be used every 11.4 seconds, which is really, really nice. I mean, you can really spam this stuff, especially with some of the items that last for a certain amount of time. Once they expire, they're almost ready to use again. The first one that we just went over, the anti-time entanglement field, it has a 13-second cooldown time. Okay, third, we have Torment of the Underworld. This comes from the Winter Event store, and it's pretty cheap to get. You can buy the items that you need to use to get it from that store. If you're brand new to the game and haven't done a winter event yet, you won't have access to that until the winter event comes around again. If you have access to the winter event at all, then that store is available all year. And if you are unaware, if you click on the mission journal and you go to events, down here on the bottom, you're going to have your event stores. Second chance is to buy out events that have just ended, and reclaims would be, if you got a ship for a winter event and you wanted to reclaim the ship or the gear or whatever, then you could click on that. So if you go into the event store, you have the summer event and the winter event. So here's where you can go to purchase items from those stores, and you just had to have participated at some point. So if you're brand new, just coming into the game, you won't have access to this until Christmas comes around and you can access that store. So what this does is it targets or surrounds the target with a Torment Rupture. Okay, Torment Rupture. And what that does is it's going to deal psionic damage 119.4 each second. And that's for 12 seconds. And it's also going to give a negative 33.3 all damage resistance rating for that 12 seconds as well. It also affects foes up to 5 foes within 5 meters of the target. 20% chance to exploit for the 8 seconds, activating kit modules. And again, that goes back to traits and duty officers. Great area of effect ability here that's cheap and easy to get as long as you have that store unlocked. Exothermic Induction Field is going to be the 4th module that we're using here. This comes from the fleet, and this is very cheap. It doesn't cost anywhere near what you pay for space gear. This is going to come from the research lab holding. So if you go there, you can pick this up for very cheap. I believe you can actually buy this on the exchange as well. And I also believe it is a mission reward in, I want to say, the 2nd mission in the Gamma arc, 2nd or 3rd. Let me know on that. I'm not going to go sidetrack and looking around for all this stuff at the moment, but you can easily just run this through the wiki and find all the different sources. But the fleet's one, and I don't believe this is bound to character until you actually slot it. At least it wasn't in the past, so it should also be available on the exchange. All right, so what this does is it creates a exothermic induction field, and that is going to deal 675 fire damage, 50% shield penetration, damage reduced from, what does that say? From the epicenter. And so the farther out on the edges, the least, the less amount of damage an enemy's going to take. So the area of effect is the most pronounced in the center of that. There's a 15% knockback chance, plus 8 meters, and creates a 4.5 radius fire patch that deals 144.2 fire damage each second with 50% shield penetration, 10% chance to exploit. So I'm confused about this too, guys, because this secondary effect is not, I don't believe it's from my duty officers. So is it kind of a double whammy that this gets? Let's just look at that right now, because it's almost like it gives us 2 different stats. They do the same thing, but different amounts. So let's just take a look at one of these here. 20% chance, reduce cooldown. No, that's all it does is reduce the cooldown. So is it just a double whammy on this? That's kind of weird. Sometimes these tooltips get kind of jumbled in the way that they're laid out, but this just looks like it's got double the effect here. Interesting. We'll have to play with that. Let me know if you guys got a straightforward answer to this. Recharge time on this ability is 11.4 seconds. Torment of the Underworld, 12.8. So far, all of our abilities are well under 15 seconds here, which is very, very nice. We'll be able to use these quite a bit. All right, lastly, we have our last kit module is the Paradox Bomb. And this kind of acts like a gravity well in, like wood in space on ground. It creates a level 60 this time. Paradox Bomb for 5 seconds. During the first 4 seconds, -10 pull per second. 2 foes within 20 meters. Disables sprint and roll for affected foes after 5 seconds. Up to 199.6 physical damage to foes within 20 kilometers. That increases the closer they are to the center of it, and it removes all entropy from target. I don't know what that is. Sorry, guys. So what this will do is you hit it on an enemy that generally the best case would be centrally located in a group of them, and it's going to pull them all together while doing physical damage and clustering them all up for an amount of time. It basically has a 20-meter range on it. So generally what I'll do is, backwards from how I just went through this, I'll click this, it pulls them all in, and then I'll start clicking all my area effects to stack up. Especially if I got a large group, you will just wipe the floor with everybody that's getting sucked in when you put all of these effects into effect in succession. So starting with our Paradox Bomb and following by the other 4, you can just stack all these abilities on top of everybody that you have pulled into the center there and burn them down very, very quickly. All right, so let's take a look here. We're going to pull up the ground-based stats. So the ones that I really care about are the performance. So this is basically how much damage all of these things are going to do. And then our kit readiness, again, is the cooldown. So these are pretty decent numbers here for really kind of maxing out the way that this build is. The way that we're getting these numbers are through our skill tree. It's through obviously our kit, and then to bring us to our next piece of gear, our body armor. So this item is from the what's it from? This is from the Lobby store. So this would cost Lobby, and it's fully upgraded. And you can see that this thing just does a ton of stuff. A good amount of damage resistance, a plus 50 kit performance. There's some other armors that you can get crafted that'll have modifiers. There's some other mission drops, and I'll put it down in the description. I'll have to go over to my free-to-play because I do have a science build on that has some other options. I think my kit is using one as well, and I'll put those down in the description. Just a couple other options you could use since this is a Lobby piece, to where you could, get these kinds of boosts. You can also wiki this as well when you're looking at kit readiness. The page for that will give you a list of basically everything that boosts that, and it'll also show you the multi-piece sets that give you it and the individual pieces of armor. I decided to go with this one so I could use a particular shield with the weapon, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But the main selling points of this item are going to be the plus 50 kit performance and plus 50 kit readiness, which are very, very good. All right, next, same as the tactical officer, I am using the Nakul shield and weapon. So this is in the secondary slot, unupgraded, because it's not there for use. It's there for the two-piece set. This shield is by far the best shield, I think, in the game. Other than some very specific circumstances, this is the shield you're going to want to be running on pretty much anything you have ground, your bridge officers. It's an excellent, excellent shield. Once you get to a certain health, or your shield drops below 10%, this is going to create a decoy, and it's going to encase you in another shield that basically makes you not vulnerable at all. This can only happen for or once every 60 seconds. And it's saved my butt a million times. It's an excellent shield if you fought the Nakul or done like some of the Romulan ground missions where you're fighting the Nakul. You'll see this effect. They kind of have that ghostly version of them that's kind of hooked to them with some sort of red looking ghostly energy kind of field. You got to kill that before it'll drop that shield that is impenetrable. So let's take a look at where that comes from, and then we'll take a look at the two-piece here. So this is going to come from Future Proof, and this is going to be the temporal front. You'll need to run through this twice and pick up the shield and the weapon here. So that's where that comes from, temporal front from Future Proof. So again, the weapon and its stats are not important. The only reason, again, it's there is for the two-piece. And the two-piece on this gives us plus 2% critical chance and plus 30% critical severity. This is an extremely nice boost for only having to run a weapon that you don't have to use, since you're able to slot two weapons, which is nice. And the great part about getting this boost and using a two-piece like this is the shield. Even if it didn't have this boost, I would still most likely use this shield because the shield by itself is that good. So this is a perfect example of using a two-piece, because not only is the two-piece good, but pieces of the individual set are very good. Now, generally, like on a ship build, we're going to want both pieces to be really good, but because you can only use one weapon at a time and it lets you slot two, it's really kind of a non-issue when we're dealing with ground here. All right, next, let's take a look at the weapon. And again, this is just really here for fun. I generally don't have my weapon on auto fire when I'm on my science character especially, and I'm finding even that's even true with my tactical character, which is becoming much more reliant on kit module abilities, because when your weapon's going, especially when it goes into a secondary firing mode, there's an animation involved with that, and you can't fire off any of your other abilities that have an animation, like your kit module abilities for the most part. So I don't use this or any of my weapons with this kind of build, or now even so with the tactical build, on auto fire, because it'll just get in the way. So I'll manually click the firing when I want to use it, but the majority majority of the time, we're just going to be using kit module abilities here. So again, the stats on this are not real great, but the weapon is really cool, and it goes really good with the theme of this. It looks like, you know, the Emperor from Star Wars shooting, you know, lightning out of his hand. It looks really, really cool, and that's why it's here. So I won't go into much more detail than that, because it's really unimportant for this. All right, let's take a look at our skills. So when I was going through this, I don't know, a week or so ago, when I was considering doing this video and just kind of revamping this character, I'm really considering moving all of these. So for a tactical build where you know, are using more of your weapon, or on any build where you're using more of your weapon, you're going to want these maxed out. These are all basically, you know, weapons training, penetration, expertise, that kind of thing. On all of my characters, I will always have the kit side of this maxed, right? So that's kind of a no-brainer. But I'm really considering moving some of these points into maybe my shield and into my endurance. So I'll most likely be going, not using regeneration, so like this side of it here, and then maybe using the hardness side for the shield. So just breaking these points up into these and using the hardness and the endurance hit point side of this. Again, the regen is just one of those things where if you're in combat, regen is, you know, the regen rate is so tiny, you got to be out of combat for it to work. And I like to just go in, be able to survive and fight and fight and fight and kill everybody, you know, before I die. The best way to go about doing that is obviously damage output, but then survivability while you're in the fight. And the regen, you know, stats, when you look at those, and this is even true in space, they're just not real great at, you know, passively speaking, while you're in combat. So kit performance max, you can throw them into weapons if you're going to be using your weapon as well quite a bit, or like I said, I would break them up. Primarily would be, you know, filling this side out, and then whatever I had left over I'd put into the hardness or resistance side for shields. All right, let's take a look at the traits here. So for our personal ground traits, so I have, is it 10 that they give us? So it's 10 because this is an alien character, so you get an extra personal ground and personal space trait slot on any alien that you roll. I did go with Romulan on her for the bridge officers being able to have the Romulan operative, mainly obviously for space, but in any case, so she's an alien, she has that extra slot. The top row are going to be stock items, and you'll find a common theme through most of all of this. It all is kit performance and kit readiness is what we're trying to just stack up here as much as possible. So the first item here is creative, and this is giving us plus 30% kit performance. Next we have Field Researcher, and this is giving us plus 25% bonus, all damage versus target affected by control or debuff. Now, pretty much all of our abilities that we're going to be clicking are either giving us control and or a debuff. So this is going to boost all of our effects by that 25%, and this is Cat 2 bonus damage. So this synergizes with the modules that we're using on this build very, very well. Next, we have Field Technician, and this is giving us plus 50 kit readiness. So again, they'll get those cooldowns to a level that let us use this just as much as possible. Aggressive, this is giving us just a straight plus 5% bonus all damage. And this is raising our threat sum. This is questionable. You potentially could use something else in here if you were also running a weapon that you wanted to get a little bit more out of. If it's a rifle or assault, you know, you could go with one of those variants, or, you know, the pistol training. You could even maybe go with some you know, resistance or something like that as well. Or if you had some other lockbox items, I don't have a lot on here, you could replace that. But for me, on this particular build, it puts out enough damage where I'm able to kill things fairly quick enough to where I don't have to worry too much about dying. Having that extra 5% threat generation is not a big deal, and the plus 5 Cat 2 bonus damage is nice. All right, next we have Lucky, and this is giving us plus 3% critical chance, and it's giving us 10% increased chance to exploit. This one I just added in. This came from the current or the last lockbox. I think there's a new one coming out. Is that next week? So I believe this comes out of the current lockbox, and this is upgraded gear. And we saw this in the. Did we see this in there? I don't think this was modified. So this is giving us plus 2.5 kit performance on defeating a foe. Stacks up to 50 times. So this was not a modifier on our weapons. So this is huge. So you're talking about, you know, as you start to defeat foes, you're going to build up upwards of what, 125? Is that right? 125 kit performance. That's excellent, especially, you know, stacking that on top of what we currently have. I mean, we were sitting at what, 400 and something. So this is going to put us well over 500 kit performance just by itself, if you're able to kill enough bad guys, right? So I mean, you're going to have to kill what, 50 of them in order to stack all of that up. Stacks up to plus 50. So no, that's not right. So it's not 50 times, it's plus 50. Okay, I get it now. So this is excellent. Even at 50, well worth having in here. And this was, I think, next to nothing on the exchange as well. So definitely check that out. Next, we have... here's another one of those guys I'm going to need you to phonetically put in chat for me. I'm not even going to try and say this. Yeah, I'm not going to embarrass myself. Sorry, guys. I was learning disabled, and I don't read very well, especially out loud on camera. I should have practiced this first, but it probably wouldn't have helped. But anyways, you can see it there on screen. I apologize. And like I said, I'm not even going to try. This is here for the outgoing control effects. So it's plus 25% outgoing control effects. And it also gives us some additional run speed, which is always nice for getting around maps quicker. And again, this is another exchange lockbox item that can be picked up. Next, we have Serenity, and again, this is here for the kit performance. We also get some health regeneration off this, which again, it's kind of one of those things that helps a bit, but unless you're out of combat, it doesn't make a big difference, but we're getting plus 15% kit performance. And man, compared to upgraded gear, this isn't anywhere near the same kind of boost you can get. Upgraded gear is getting you up to 50, plus 50. But in any case, it's definitely worth having. Plus 15 is a pretty nice chunk, even taking up a slot like this. If there's something else we could use here, it might be more beneficial. Let me know in the comments. It's been a while since I've done a full overhaul on this character. I've kind of tweaked it, you know, going forward here and there. I have a lot of fun still playing it, but obviously the metas, and not even just metas, because this isn't like top end DPS meta. This is just what I like and how I built it. But if you have suggestions maybe for swapping some of these out, I probably would definitely consider replacing aggressive and also Serenity. So let me know what you guys think about that. Next, we have Hive Mind. So this should be pretty much on every single person's build. This is kind of like Fleet Coordinator, like you would have for space. This is giving us plus 2 bonus damage per teammate within 20 meters. So that'll stack up, and you're affected by it as well. So basically, it's a plus 10% bonus damage as long as you're within 20 meters of your teammates. All right, lastly, we have Agony Modulator. So this is one that was showing up on our kit modules here. And what this does is it gives a 24.3 physical damage per second for 10 seconds. And this is going to happen when we activate any kit module that confuses, disables, holds, placates, roots the target, or reduces run speed. Also causes damage over time to target. So this basically is being tacked on to all of our abilities here. So basically, once you add this up, if the target survives for the full 10 seconds, then they're going to be getting a total of 243 physical damage, which is a nice chunk on ground. I am interested because some of these abilities are area of effect. So will this be tacked on or effects go against all the enemies that are, you know, suffering from the effect of that, or is it just the main target? Yeah, so I wonder. It's got to affect everybody. Kit performance, confuse. Okay, so just if they're disabled, yeah. So if the target is disabled, and it doesn't even say specific target, so I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if that does. So like if I use the Paradox Bomb and it's affecting, you know, five guys, pulling them in, so it's controlling them, are all of them going to be suffering from this 24.3% physical damage per second? I don't know. If you have an answer to that, let me know. All right, ground reputation. So we are using, and these are all real similar to what we're using for space, at least the first two. Lethality, so it's plus 5%. Critical hit chance. Next, we are using deadly aim. This is plus 20% critical severity. This one's similar to controlled countermeasures. So it's combat awareness. So this is giving us 9.4 bonus. Range damage against controlled targets. So this would be if we started firing our weapon, which would be a ranged attack. I don't think this is going to be affecting kit modules, even though it's at range. I think they consider rifles, pistols, things that you're going to shoot to be a ranged attack. You're going to get a nice little boost of bonus damage to that. Next, we have Personal Energy Amplifier, and this is giving a bonus to our kit damage, which is very nice. So all of our kit modules are going to be doing plus 6.3 bonus damage, percent plus bonus damage, Cat 2, which is nice. And then our last one here is giving us a kit module recharge reduction by 9.4%, which is a nice little boost there. Miniaturized chronocapacitor is what this last one is. So you can see a pretty common theme. I mean, everything is really kind of aimed towards either boosting the damage, but the majority of it is kit performance and kit readiness. That is the name of the game for your science ground builds, and increasingly pretty much everything else. So make sure you're thinking about that, even if you're doing, a tactical, build. If you're building around kit modules, which you really should be, those are the items that you're really wanting to pay attention to. We didn't look at the specializations, but I'm using Strategist and Temporal. Temporal obviously is going to be the best for the primary, for the ground, and for space. This is a science character. And then Strategist is a decent secondary to be using. If you have a better suggestion for secondary for science ground, let me know. I generally don't mess with these if I go to ground unless I'm doing something competitive or, trying to go for some sort of, DPS run on ground. Otherwise, I would leave it. So like Commando probably would make the most sense, I would think, on ground. Maybe Constable. But again, I don't normally change these when I'm just doing random, because especially if you do a random and you don't know if you're going into space or if you're going into ground, or even if you do, am I going to remember to change them? It'll be nice once this is integrated into loadout saves. This will be wonderful. I think at this point, it's about the only thing that is not. And that would be really beneficial if they'd add that in. So if anyone that has the ability or the authority, think about doing that if you haven't already. I'm sure people have been asking. All right, so that pretty much covers the build there. Let's take a look at the duty officers. I know I could definitely improve on this. What I focused on is 2 of the kit modules being able to really, boost being able to use them as much as possible. And that's going to be this one, and this one. So these 3 are basically all copies and do the same thing. And what they're going to do is give us a 20% chance to reduce the cooldown on Exothermic Induction Field and the Hypersonic Radiation by 10 seconds, which would be nice. I don't know if there's a cap on the minimum reduction of cooldowns on the ground. I know it's 50% of the stock cooldown time for space abilities, at least for duty off or bridge officer abilities. Let me know if there is. I don't think there is, actually, because I know on my science build we're using the MUD's time device and motivation, and we're being able to cool things down pretty much instantly. So I think I've just answered my question on that. So we have a 20% chance to reduce that by 10 seconds, and there's 3 of those. And the cooldown on those 2 items are both like 11 and 12 seconds. So we should have those up and ready to use quite a bit. Next here at the bottom, the last relevant one to this build, this increases all damage when in combat versus, okay, that's a secondary effect. We don't care about that. So this is adding a modifier to our kit modules. So it is adding a damage resistance debuff when most science kit debuffs are applied. So I think all but one of them are getting this tacked onto it. So negative 40% or negative 40 all damage resistance rating for 5 seconds. So that is very nice. This other one has to do specifically if you're fighting the Alachi, which it's kind of whatever. It just was on there. And then for this top one, this is a Phoenix Store item, and this is primarily here for space. Most of the space parse runs and competitive stuff that we do is against the Borg. And this guy gives us an extra 5% all damage, and it gives it for space and for ground. So that's really why this is here. It's really for the space side of things, although it does affect ground, but I normally wouldn't slot something like this if it was only affecting ground and only for the Borg for that 5 seconds. This is really kind of a min-max thing for space going up against the Borg. So I could definitely use some improvement here, I think, in general. If you guys have some suggestions for me for lineups on this, that would be real helpful, and I'd appreciate any feedback you can give me on this. I think this video is turning more into, if you've never done science, here's kind of the basics, and I'm not a pro on this, and there's a lot of you guys in the community that are and can help me out. So it looks like this is going to be a good two-sided video here where we can help everybody, including myself. Okay, I think that pretty much covers the entire build there. Let's go ahead and head over to a ground map, and let's just play with this and see how this thing does. All right, here we are in the Defura invasion zone. So this is a Borg ground battle zone. So let's go ahead and head on over here and start killing us some Borg. And I wonder if we can find some groups. That'll be the funnest here, but we'll just start with this first group. So I'm going to start with is the Paxton bomb here, or the Paradox bomb, pull them all together, and then go through the chain. And I didn't even get through all of those before I was able, or get through all of them before they all died, so we'll try that again here. So the Paradox bomb is going to have the longest cooldown out of all of this here. And that's really the start of our chain. I'll wait for some of these guys to get in a little closer. But I mean, look at that. I mean, we're just annihilating Borg. Now on advanced settings, this zone is on normal difficulty, I believe. So, things are going to die a little bit quicker. But even on your advanced stuff, this is going to do pretty darn good. Things are just melting. Let's take a look at the weapon it has here. Oh wait, I clicked the wrong button. So the weapon has two modes. It has a support mode and a regular mode. I don't think the Borg adapt to this either. Wow, that's just one shot? That kind of surprises me a little bit here. Am I in support mode? I think I keep clicking the wrong button. Doesn't look like they're adapting. Yep, they are adapting. Okay, well, that's a bummer. That's the worst. Fighting the Borg with, using a primary weapon. That guy up there, he's got the right idea. He's using the Tommy gun. They can't adapt to that. So that's definitely the way to go. If you're having to farm Borg, you're playing a lot of Borg content, and you have access to the Tommy gun, then that's definitely what you should be using for sure. But we really don't even need to use that again. Like I said, it's really there more so for, for the look and the effect that it has. I just think it looks really cool. Let me help this guy out here. As you can see, I mean, these science builds especially, they're a lot of fun. They look really cool. A little space wizard action on ground. And they just wipe the floor. These area effect builds are just a lot of fun. Especially if you get into something like, Counterpoint or something like that, where you just have tons and tons of enemies. There's no shortage. As you find on these maps, especially if there's quite a few people here, you'll spend a lot of time starting to, looking for groups of enemy to kill. But if you get into a TFO like what is it, the ground, is it Counterpoint or is it the space one? My brain's just mush. Where you just have tons and tons of enemy coming, then this gets really nice. Man, that's really choppy looking. Why is that? That's the thing with science abilities too. It's things are going to get, it's going to make your computer work a little harder than what some of the other builds are going to do, depending on what you got. I got a pretty decent computer too, so I'm not sure what's going on, but in any case, yeah, so that's the build. It is definitely effective against the Borg here and pretty much anything else. I did want to show the Lobi environmental suit or armor that I'm wearing. Sometimes I'll actually activate it because I think it kind of looks pretty cool. So that's what that looks like. It's got a built-in flashlight, so if you're in a dark area, that makes it kind of nice. It does kind of have an annoying sound effect like most of the EV suits, the breathing noise there, and then kind of, I don't know, it annoys me a little bit sometimes, but it's a great armor EV suit with really good stats for this kind of build. All right, well, I think that does it, guys. So that's science kind of 101 ground there. You can put together budget stuff. I mean, there wasn't a lot that was, you know, Lobi. There's really basically just one item that was Lobi, a little bit of rep gear, some box stuff, but there are alternatives to that. Again, if you're going to put together, you know, science build, or really at this point, any kind of build, you know, you definitely want to build towards kit performance, kit readiness. So I'd hit the wiki on that. If you're, you know, if you're not a science character, there's going to be different modules and traits and things like that that are available to you, and take a look at, you know, what boosts that the most, and, you know, what you can get your hands on or what you might already have. So again, I hope that was helpful. If it was, please consider subscribing to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know your feedback, what you think about the build. If you have any suggestions for me, I know I threw out quite a few questions for myself. Sorry if that's a little selfish, but like I said, I don't know everything, and you know, we can, all of us can always make improvements, and that's really the fun of this game, with the layers and the depth of it. There's just, even if you played for a long time, or, you know, really into it, the way it constantly changes in those layers, there's just so much that it just makes it fun, and I can always use help myself as well. So thank you very much for watching. Again, just a reminder, definitely go over and check out Stu1701. Again, links will be down in the description for his channels. Drop in, say what's up, follow, sub to his channel on YouTube. I greatly appreciate it, and I know he would too. He's a great guy. So check out the Discord server. We just did the giveaway for the Infinity Tier 6 ship. I did not get permission from him to say his name, so I won't say who that was, but he went with the Terran warship, which was an excellent choice. That's a great ship. We'll have some more giveaways coming up, probably the beginning of this coming month here. And I'll let you guys know in the next videos about that. They're all posted in the Discord, is where we run the giveaways. So definitely check that out. If you need help on any of your builds, or, you know, just want to say, hey, we got a great community in the Discord, and the link for that is down below. So definitely go check it out. All right, guys, until next time, stay safe, and thank you very much for watching.